the planet of independence, into the house of love and romance. We're talking about Mars in the fifth house. In last video, we have discussed about Mercury in the fifth house of the horoscope. In this video, we are going to talk about the effects of Mars in the fifth house. So keep watching. Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. I'm your host Prasad Mahazani. Help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic Astrology. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. You will be getting Vedic astrological videos just like this one. And these videos will help you go further faster into Vedic astrological studies. If you have any question, add me on Instagram at Pramanik Astrology. If you have any question, you can also share your comments into the relevant videos comment section. I read all the comments and I reply to all the comments. So before we talk about Mars in the fifth house, what is Mars? Mars is the fiery planet. Mars is fire. That is why Aries ascendant, which is the Kalpurush Kundali, the first sign, is ruled by Mars, which is life. Fire is life. Mars is your life force. Mars is an energy. Mars is strength. Mars is independence. Mars is competition, aggression, war. Risk-taking abilities can also be seen from the Mars. Mars is also the karaka for the blood, war, and competition for the resources. If you look at the consciousness of the planets, Sun is the soul, which is the king, which is Atma. Moon is the Manas, which is mind. And then we have the intellect, then we have the Mercury, and then we have the Mars, the protector, the commander in the celestial cabinet. He is a soldier. He is a disciplined, energetic soldier who is going to win war for the sun. Sun is the king, he is the soldier. He is going to win the war for the king. So wherever you have Mars placed in, Mars energizes that house. More so, Mars also has three special aspects. Mars can also aspect 4 houses from where it is placed. And yes, we are going to count the house where Mars is placed. And then the usual 7th house aspect. And Mars also has a special 8th house aspect. Okay, so when Mars is into the 5th house, it will aspect the 8th house with the 4th aspect, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. So from the 4th aspect, it will aspect the 8th house. From the 7th aspect, it will aspect the 11th house. And from the 8th house, from the 8th aspect, it will aspect the 12th house of the horoscope if it is placed into the 5th house of your horoscope. We'll talk about that. We will talk about this later in the video. Let us talk about what is 5th house. 5th house is the first thing which comes to my mind when I think of 5th house is 5th house is about how we express ourselves. 5th house is third from the third. Third house is about your inner self, and it is the actual manifestation of yourself. So in third house you have some ideas, and in the 5th house you are going to express those ideas. 5th house is also about the creative pursuits, expression, cinema and art. 5th house is also the house of speculation. 5th house is also house of gambling. 5th house is also the house of children. 5th house is also the house of love and romance. 5th house is also the house of your intellect, your intelligence, and fifth house is also about your education. Now let us look at what are the effects when the planet of aggression, independence, disciplined action, passion, competition is coming into the fifth house of love and romance. Mars in the fifth house. When Mars is in the fifth house, the first thing which I can relate to is fifth house is about love and romance, and Mars energizes this house. So the person with the Mars in the fifth house is a passionate person, but at the same time he will be a very disciplined guy. So this guy, the person with the fifth house Mars, will have very less relationships. Why? Mars is all about the independence. Mars loves to be alone. He likes to conquer something. He likes to achieve something. He doesn't like to, network or have a relationship. He has the energy, but he doesn't like that. He is focused on his goal. So when the person is having Mars in the fifth house, he is energetic and passionate, but he will have very few relationships, because fifth house is about love and romance. And what is love and romance? Love and romance, the basic criteria for love and romance is there has to be cooperation and there has to be two people involved into each other. And what is the first nature of Mars? Mars is independent. So it is very difficult for Mars to fall in love. But if you have Venus in the fifth house along with Mars, things are not going to be the same. Okay, these things are going to get altered, because then that Mars becomes extremely passionate. That Mars-Venus conjunction in the fifth house, they always get into relationships. Okay, we'll talk about that when we'll talk about the conjunctions. But we are right now talking about Mars in the fifth house. The next signification, Mars is about the machinery and mechanical things. Okay, by mechanical I mean literal machines. And fifth house is about the intelligence. So these people are very good with machineries. Okay, these people have a good understanding of machines. Fifth house is the house of children, and Mars is the planet of independence. So again, these people are not inclined to have children. They are not much interested into having children. His nature of independence does not allow him to manifest the fifth house things which are related with the cooperation and the expression about the others. Okay. Next, fifth house is the house of creativity. And when we have Mars in the fifth house, these people become the independent creative thinkers. If these people are into cinema, they will make action movies which are creative, which are independent, which are not just other movie. They will be special action movies, because now that creativity is getting the flavor of independence along with the energy of Mars. So this is a blend of creativity. So this is a blend of creativity along with the Mars. So Mars loves fifth house for its creative aspect. From the fifth house, Mars aspects the eighth house of the horoscope. What is the eighth house of the horoscope? Eighth house is the house of in-laws. Eighth house is the second house to the seventh house. Seventh house is your partner. Second house is the house of family. So the second from the seventh is the family of your spouse. That is why eighth house is the house of your in-laws. Now, Mars is aspecting the 8th house with the 4th aspect. 8th house is also the house of joint assets with the partner, and 8th house is also the house of occult and mysticism and things buried underground, the things hidden. The occult and mysticism are the hidden knowledges. 8th house is also about the alternate healings. But when Mars aspects the 4th house when Mars aspects the 8th house from the 5th house with its 4th aspect, it energizes the 8th house of in-laws, joint assets, occult, mysticism, and these things come into the native's life. But Mars is also signify quarrels. So these people might have arguments with the 8th house things. Okay. With the 7th aspect, Mars aspects the 11th house of the horoscope. What is 11th house? 11th house is the house of your networking, your social circle, and your labhasthan. And when Mars aspects the 11th house, you will experience the gains from your male friends. Your male friends will help you to connect with the social groups or to the larger organizations, and your male friends will help you in getting gains from the 5th house. Okay. From the 8th house aspect, Mars aspects the 12th house of the horoscope. What is 12th house? 12th house is the house of isolation. 12th house is the house of the dissolution. 12th house is the house of losses. So 12th house, we always think about 12th house as a bad house, as a karmic house, but 12th house is second to the 11th and 11th to the second house. More so, it is also the self-effort house, the third from the 10th. And when Mars energizes the 12th house, it makes person go into the isolation and practice martial things. Like a person might go to a jungle to practice yoga, martial arts, hatha yoga, these kind of things. Yes, this was Mars, as much as I could hold, grasp and share with you guys. If you are starting into Vedic astrology, I have a playlist called How to Get Started in Vedic Astrology. I recommend you to watch the videos, or if you want to know the effects of the retrograde planets, I have one playlist called Effects of Retrograde Planet. I recommend you to go through both of these playlists. I'll put them into end screen and I button. Also check out the playlist into the description section. So keep watching, sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibes. See you in the next videos. Love and peace.